I'm just trying to see what this pop-up is on my screen here real quick. All right, not sure why that was right there, but anyways. Hello, it's been a hot minute. I have not done a video in probably a couple months, and so I kind of just wanted to impromptu just jump on here today and do a live stream. So I thought, since I didn't have any pre-scripted study information ready for everyone, that I would just kind of jump on and try the format of a study with me, and give you guys some updates and things like that. Let me go ahead while we're waiting for folks to jump on and see if I can log in on my laptop as well. Just makes it easier for questions if I have any. Okay. A lot of pop-ups today. Looks good. All right. So just a couple updates. I have just been kind of busy. I've had a lot on my plate, things going on, and so I decided to take a short break, and then that break felt really good, and I was like, you know what, I am just going to take a longer break and kind of make things a little bit easier on myself with the other things that I had going on, and so it feels right to jump back on now. So I wanted to do that. One thing that I have changed with my social accounts is that I have started an account on Fable, which is another reading app like Goodreads. So there is a link, I think, in the description of my channel, and I'm working on getting my link tree updated with all that information as well. It's a fabulous app, honestly. I will probably keep the Goodreads account just to keep the list of books that I'm reading in case folks are interested or want to follow me on there. But Fable has such an amazing social aspect to it, in addition to the books that you can monitor and your lists and all of that stuff, and groups. You can make reading groups. Now I think you can do that in Goodreads as well, but I didn't really care for the structure of it too much. I just didn't get into it, but I'm loving it on Fable. So if you want to check it out, it is Silver Wheel Tarot over on the Fable app. And I have two groups that I created. The first one is called Tarot Enthusiasts, and it is a free reading club group, essentially. And in that one, we are currently reading the 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack. Now, you can use either version of this book. I know this is the older version, and I have an audio copy of the newer version, and they're pretty similar, and you can follow along with either one if you want to. So one of the neat things about the way that I like the book reading clubs on Fable is that I can spread it out over, I think, a max of 4 months. My second group that I'll tell you about in a minute, I spread out for 4 months. This one, I think I did a 2-month read. Still learning how to set that up exactly to get the chapters exactly where I want them, but essentially you can break it out by months, up to 4 months, and then it takes all the information in the contents of the book, splits it between those 4 months, and then it has a discussion tab where if you are following along and reading, it doesn't really matter if you are reading fast or slower than anyone else that is in the group, because you really can read at your own pace, and all of the comment sections are broken down by the contents of the book. So it's really great. For instance, this book here, even though it has kind of a short contents, okay, and where it says introduction, which is really where the group is at right now, introduction for the minor arcana, I should say, which is about halfway through the book. But the section that I am just reading to within the introduction is called the gate cards. And it has all the little sections of the book broken down in there. So it's really kind of nice. And that way you can read at your own pace and you can follow along. Now, I've only had these 2 clubs recently, so I haven't actually finished a book within the clubs, but I was checking out the other types of clubs that they have on Fable, and it looks like once the club finishes the book, you can access the history of the book. And so if you wanted to read, say you have this book, but you don't want to read it until next year, you've already got your tarot reading set up for this year, then you should be able to go into the tarot group that I have set up on Fable and access the history, and you can still read along and access the chapters as you read it and add comments and whatnot. So that's kind of cool. The other club that I've created on that app is tarot adjacent, and that is going to be for anything tarot related that it may or may not be a specific tarot book. This one is what we're reading right now. It is a hefty one. It's spread out over 4 months, but like I said, if you read really fast, you can read fast. Or even if we finish the book before you, you can still take your time and go through and access the chapters and see what other comments, if any, are in there from the group. This one is Tarot for Transformation by Andy Matzner, and it is a tarot book, but it is very much along the lines of going through the major arcana from a therapeutic or therapy sense. There's a lot of activities and journal prompts and self-help type stuff in here as well. So it's really a great book. I'm loving it. It's just got a lot of information. I'm kind of personally just reading through it myself from cover to cover, and then if there's any activities or anything that I want to go back and do, then I'll go back and do it. But it's a big book, so I'm not doing all the activities in it as I'm going through it this time around. Sometimes I'll do that with books, but not always. Really depends on what else I have commitments to at the time, because it can get time consuming. So these are the 2 books that I am reading right now that are tarot related, and there is a group for each of them on the Fable app if you want to join. If not, totally cool. I just know that there's a lot of tarot studiers out there that like to also read and get involved with that, so it's there if you want it. It's 100% free. Just check it out if you want to. Okay, so what else? I think that's really all I have for updates. I have kind of enjoyed the short break, couple-month break. Month, I guess that's not too short, depends perspective, but I'm kind of still feeling like, well, it's time to jump back in here. I don't have any set structure set up, which is why I want to do these study with me style format. So what I am working on today is actually making some flashcards. So we can do questions. If you have questions, feel free to pop on and ask questions. But otherwise, I'm going to just, I guess, sit here and work on making some tarot flashcards and kind of show you guys what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Flashcards are great. They really are. For me, some people don't like them, but a lot of people do. I actually started making some before, and as you can see on the backs of them, they have 3 sections for the upright, reversals, and some other correspondence. But when I got about halfway through, I kind of decided that I want to structure it a little differently, so I'm going to do them over. And it never hurts to rewrite things out, so I'm not really kind of worried about the fact that I started making all these flashcards and now I'm going to essentially do it over. But what I realize is, especially with the minor arcana, there is so much information that I want to put on these flashcards. And I really like how I have the upright and reversals on the side. So what I want to do is draw a line all the way across and prep the cards today. And this information would actually fit if I write smaller in the top, and that leaves me another square. And so the idea with having these 4 squares on the back of the card is I can have the name of the card on the front, and on the back I can study 1 square at a time. So I'm not trying to use the flashcards and memorize the entirety of all that information for the 1 card. And with it split like this, it's going to be easy for me to flip it over and know, okay, I'm working on the upper right hand side, which is the upright keywords, or the bottom left hand side, which is astrology, or whatever you want it to be on your flashcards. But so that is what I'm going to be doing, is making these flashcards. The supplies I'm using, simple. I have a little ruler. I have a super cheapo notepad, which I have kind of put tick marks on, as you can see, that I have the little lines where the card lines up to draw the lines. Very basic. I will say, if it's your first time making tarot flashcards, that I have found that it is much easier to buy these cards that already have the puncture hole in them. These particular ones were just the cheapo ones I could buy on Amazon, and they will work just fine for this little project. And they happen to come with these little rings, which were colors. So as you can see, I had already started, right? This is cups and fire, wands. I don't know if I like these, to be honest. I just, they're a little too thick. The little hole in the cards doesn't slide very smoothly. So I think I'm going to go back to, I have some of my old flashcards here. Some of my smaller ones that I made myself. This was a pain in the neck, to tell you the truth, to hand punch these. That's why it's worth a few dollars, even if you already have a stack of flashcards, to buy some that already have the holes in them. I did like the rounded corners, but that was just way too much work to do that again, personally. But I have these little metal hooks. I have they come in like a pack. That actually, those were my husband's that he's had for years, and I just kind of confiscated them. But yeah, I think I'm going to go to these. I don't love the little latch here that sometimes it gets caught up on when you're flipping, the cards over. But the cards are a lot smoother on the ring. So it's just, maybe that's just personal preference, So what are you guys doing for tarot study right now? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and just start working on drawing out. I have some that are already half marked. I'll probably finish that. This is enough cards to do the whole minor arcana. And I'm probably going to finish half marking them all first, and then go in and add the other line, just because it's a little easier to do all the lines on the same direction when you're doing mass quantities of them. And yeah, so it's kind of new format here. So I'm just going to do this for a little bit, and then we'll come back and see if I have any questions. And I'm just going to write start drawing my cards, I guess, putting them together. So if you have any questions, let me know, or if you want to do something at the same time while we're doing this, great. So the first time I'm doing this type of format where it's like a study with me, so it's a little odd to not be talking the whole time through, but we're going to go ahead and give it a try. And if it is a hit, if people really like this format, then I am thinking about trying to I think I have enough like stands and things to do a setup where I can show you guys the desktop, and then I can be in the frame as well, like have 2 cameras. I know that there's an app that I can do that. I just haven't looked into it yet. So, but that's definitely something that that I'm looking forward to doing if this is a hit. That way you guys can kind of see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. What else? Is there anything else that I can bring up while we are drawing lines on our postcards? For these tarot study with me formats where I don't have the pre-scripted tarot information, I was kind of thinking also about doing topics like how I would study if I wasn't on camera, right? So do I want to know about a certain card or a certain method of reading, or am I interested in symbols, or am I interested in looking up timing, like how do different people read timing of the cards and such, and basically taking the books and resources that I have on hand and diving into it to look up the specific topics. And so that might be more interesting as well too, because then if I have books open and such, you guys can see the books if I get a second camera involved in these study with me. I'm feeling very led to kind of just wing it, to be honest with you, and kind of try different things on this channel. I did do a poll recently over in my community, and I think it was like 75% really wanted the tarot educational and study information. And that's really what I love doing as well, is the studying and the sharing of the information and the different formats and ways that I come up with along the way to learn. So we'll see, you know, I'm just going to try different things. Some things may work for some people and some not for others. That's okay. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take me, but we'll see. So let me know if you guys would like to do any type of study specifically, like in a group session like this, where I'm actually looking up the information and we're kind of looking at all the resources. What kind of things would you like to research together or read, you know, little snippets of and come up with our own notes and discussion? All right, I'm probably going to go quiet for a few minutes. I don't actively have anybody watching at the moment, so during the playback, let's see, we're going to try for a few minutes. I'm just going to actually see how long it takes me to get through this stack, and then we'll go from there. We'll see if I have any questions by the time I'm done. It just feels awkward to not talk and just be on the camera, but here we go. that, but neighbors are being a little noisy, the vehicles and such. Sorry about that. Another thing, as I'm marking these cards, the pen I'm using is the Uniball Sino. I like the micro pen for this because the real fine point actually helps to be able to fit more information on the back of the flashcards. And this ink is for a ballpoint. I mean, you could use like a fountain pen with an ultra fine point like this is, but I find for drawing the lines that we're doing on the flashcards, it just gets a little messy. It's just a lot easier to use a ballpoint for that. And so I really like these Sino pens if you don't already have a favorite. They are a gel pen, so they don't work on all of the, like if you have little tabs for annotating your tarot books and stuff, like these little plastic ones, the gel pens don't write very well on those, well, at all. But I tend to use like a fine point Sharpie for that. But these pens work really great for this. And it's an archival type ink in these pens, which is another reason why I like to use them when I use a ballpoint pen, because I know the ink's gonna last, and once it's on there and dry, it's, you know, if I splash water on it or something, it's not going to smear or fade or anything like that. So these flashcards that I'm making are going to last a long time. So let me know on future ones of these study with me, if I am able to get 2 cameras set up. Do you guys enjoy the silent study time with multiple breaks? I've seen people do that. Or just studying all the way through, like looking up the information in the various resources that I have and discussing it. Let me know in the comments if you have something you like. Like I said earlier, I'm just really feeling led to just use my intuition with these and go with the flow and just kind of see what happens, just organically. But if you have any preferences or ideas of what you like, let me know. All right, so let's see. That only took about 8 minutes, 7 minutes. Oops, I just dropped one and Willem's coming by to say hi. All right, so it only took about 8 minutes to fill up all these with a single line. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to go ahead and add my second line. And just for anybody jumping on midway here, so what I've decided to do is to redo my flashcards and take this information and write it smaller so it fits in a small quadrant, because it's just a lot of information to learn on flashcards, right? So as you maybe start to learn and want to memorize all the traditional meanings and then maybe come up with your own meanings for the cards. And once you have a collection of those, and if you want to memorize them or put them on a flashcard, it's going to be a lot easier with these 4 quadrants to be able to use the flashcards for smaller quantity of information. So you're not, so say you're working on memorizing the planets, the astrology associations or something for the cards. You don't have to flip it over and go, okay, wait, where is my astrology information back here, right? You know, you might know that all your astrology information is in the bottom left corner. So when you flip it over, your eyes can go right to where the information is. So that's why I'm changing the format. Also, I wanted to be able to fit more information. So I thought putting it in quadrants would be a great way to go. So these ones are going to be probably take a little bit longer to line up, because what I've done here on this notepad is I did it ahead of time. I measured it out, but as you can see, the flashcards barely fit. So I may have to redo it and make lines this way so that it's easier just to, to make the marks, but we'll see, because it's like this minute little, he's playing with the pen and he's playing with the little circles. Anyways, so that's what I'm going to do now, and I'm assuming that's probably going to take a little bit of time, probably another 5 or 10 minutes like the other ones did. So we'll have another section of just some quiet study time. You guys can either make your flashcards at the same time I am or work on something else, whatever you like. And if you have any questions, I'm just looking over my laptop to see if there's any questions, and we don't have any, so that's good. And if you do, feel free to ask, and if I know the answer, I'll be happy to answer it or look them up. I think I'm going to make new lines. It's going to be way too hard. Let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to line it up in the lines in the bottom corner, so I have something to line it up with easy. So I have a base where to put the card, and I'm just going to measure the 1.5 inches up the center of that on both sides so that it's a little bit easier. I don't want to spend a minute for each card trying to line it up to draw the line, if you know what I'm saying. And I've just found over time of making flashcards that if you're going to draw lines on them like I'm doing on these to kind of section them out, it really helps to just get the lines drawn all at once before adding the information. It's just a lot easier. There we go. So now I can just line it up with the little red line and the bottom line on the page, which will go a lot faster because I have space on either side of it. And I can just then if I can do it this way. I'm going to do it vertically instead of horizontally. Just makes it easier for drawing the lines. There we go. They're not all going to be perfect. They might be a little off because, you know, I mean, things don't have to be perfect, right? And I don't want to be sitting here for 2 hours to do this. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with this until I'm done with this stack, and then we'll see if we have any questions, and then we will probably call it a day after that. Okay, so these are taking a little bit longer than the other side. The long line across the center here. So as I'm finishing up, I'm going to go ahead and let you know a couple things that came to mind as I was as I'm doing this. So the reason why I am doing it on the blank side is because it's a lot more versatile space without the lines. So even though these cards that I bought are college ruled, they have thin lines, it really limits the space for you. If you say, I had some here that I actually tried that. If you don't have a lot of information, this could be quicker because you can just draw your line down the center on the front and then use the lines that are already there. But I find with the volume of information in doing these for tarot cards, whether you are maybe you have some printed out information on basic card meanings, or you're studying a tarot deck and so you are putting all the information onto cards for learning a new deck. Okay, the amount of information that fits on those lines is not as great as what you can fit if you can write smaller with a fine point pen. Also, with doing it on the blank side, you have the option of filling in the information this way or this way, depending on what you're writing out. So like if I'm doing keywords, I may want to write them out this way because I have a longer space to write down the line, unless I want to do 2 columns here. So, so that's just something to consider when you are making your flashcards. So even if you say go on to, there's lots of websites out there, and get a free downloadable list of card keywords or meanings. There's a lot of really good ones out there, and there's quite a few I think that are free. And I don't have any yet on my Etsy store. I've really debated whether or not I'm going to do that because the things I have on there now are great learning tools for filling in your own keywords or compiling keywords from multiple sources and correspondences, and some spreads and journaling type things. It's just a very personal thing as you start to learn the cards, and over time people's keywords might change for the cards. And so I'm just not quite sure if I want to put a list like that for $1 on my Etsy store when there are, at that level, there's a lot of other resources out there that are free that people can use, which I think are great. I will say that I have found in my years of studying and learning tarot and using different decks and things like that, that I really prefer to really make my own lists off of other resources that I have. And aside from the very basic lists that you can find online, I really like having books, physical hard copy books to reference. Now, a lot of the tarot books that I've read, I do have audio books for, so I only have a handful of actual hard copy, maybe 12 or so tarot books, but they're such a great resource to be able to pick up and flip to, and then usually they have so many keywords for cards, or like sometimes I find the amount of information overwhelming in some of the tarot books out there. So what I like to do is, you know, consider each card and all the information and pull from it the information that resonates with me for the book that I'm studying on tarot or the specific tarot deck, and then take that information and put it on these cards, right? And then you can memorize it. So one of the great things about having the flashcards is writing it out. Some people learn from writing things. Some people learn better from hearing things. Some people learn better by reading it. It just depends. And some learn really well when you have a mix or a combination of these things. And so I find it helpful, even if, like, there's some really good decks out there that you can buy that have keywords on them, which are great. If you learn really well by just reading the information and having just the flashcard, which I find helpful, but I also find it helpful to make your own, because you're reading the information and you're thinking it as you're reading it. Possibly, depending on where you're studying and how you're studying, you might be saying it out loud as you are reading it and thinking it. And then at the same time, you are then remembering it in enough amount of time to then write it down on the piece of paper. And so you are then physically writing it as you are reading what you are actively writing. It's just, it really brings in all of your senses into the learning process to make the flashcards. And then when you're done, you still have the flashcards to use and practice with. And so that is one of the reasons why I am such a huge fan of the flashcard method and making your own. Still, excellent resource to buy some that are already done. I don't actually have any, but I've seen some really cool looking sets, decks of cards out there that have the information already on them. So that's an option also. But if you actually are still here with me and sat through the entire time of me just marking lines on these, you are probably a little bit like me and like to do things by hand. All right, so that is what I have for you guys today. That was the project that I wanted to get done. I've gone over the updates that I had in the beginning of the video. I'm not sure if I'm going to do these. I probably won't say that I'm going to do them every Monday. Right now, as I'm just starting to getting back into doing videos again after that 2-month break that I took, I am feeling very led to just kind of go with the flow and see what happens. So I am going to go based off my intuition over the next few weeks here in making my videos, whether it's reading or tarot study group or these study with me, depending on what it is I'm going to make the videos on. I am very much definitely interested in trying to make videos that you all want to see, but I'm also very much, I'm in this point because of the time of year also. I mean, if you consider the end of the year to the beginning of the year as a really good time for a lot of people to really go inward. And so I am focusing a lot on what intuitively feels very good to me at the moment, what I'm inspired and feel led to make. So at the moment, that is what I'm doing. In the future, you know, who knows? I might go back to making shorts every day along with the extra videos and all that good stuff. But for now, this is what I'm doing. I hope that was helpful for you and that you enjoyed it. And I guess we'll call it. So I'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching.